All right. So, hello everybody from the Alma atmosphere, and for those of you who are viewing who are not connected to, you are now entering the Rap Blueprint, decoding the business of cultural influence. I was gonna beatbox for y'all, but you ain't come here to hear me do that. But this event is powered by the African American Marketing Association. We are a 501c3. We were formed in 2019. We were here to educate, empower, and elevate Black marketers, creatives, and entrepreneurs, and our mission, honestly, is growing every single day. We accomplish this, though, through programming, community building, and access to opportunities across the marketing and creative industries. Now, this is a good one. Today's program is actually focused on the business of hip hop's cultural influence from a brand strategist perspective. Okay, so we want to help you understand the resistance that shaped the culture and the application of its collaboration model to modern brand partnerships. I'm really excited to bring our host to stage. Ink is a passionate and committed entrepreneur with the knowledge and determination to succeed. Growing up, Ink admired a special class of businesswomen such as Queen Latifah, Angie Martinez, and their contributions to the entertainment industry have encouraged Ink to begin navigating the diverse music scene. Now, we all know Los Angeles is an environment full of talented people who just need an opportunity. As a fellow independent artist who has performed with the likes of Ja Rule and Lady of Rage, Ink is driven to change the landscape of success for independent artists. And I'm very excited to bring her to stage. Ink,
Hello,
well,
hello. How y'all
look,
doing? Thank you so much for having me.
look, we're excited. Look, I'm gonna hop off stage now. It's all you. I'm gonna let you rock the mic, okay?
Saw me? Okay, I got it. I got it. Thank you all so much for attending, and thank you so much to the AAMA for having me. I'm so excited to be able to bring this to everybody, as well as be a part of it. It's just been an incredible opportunity, honestly. The summer has been beautiful. I hope y'all summer has been beautiful. But y'all didn't come here to hear me yet. You came here to hear the people that's on that panel, okay? So first on our panel, we have the renowned head of marketing and strategy for the Hip Hop Museum, Mignon Espy. 25 years of working through intersection and culture and media. I will give her an opportunity to introduce herself as well as the rest of the panelists. Next on our panel is Marcus Ekby, who's the executive producer of the Yolanda Adams Morning Show, as well as a director and A&R for Yolanda's upcoming album. And then we have Derek McKinney on the panel, who is the CEO and founder of Loud Music with 20 years of cultural curation and brand innovation. All hard-working cultural innovators in the industry who are coming to bring their intelligence, their expertise, their knowledge to the stage today as we discuss hip hop and rap as it pertains to marketing. So before we get too deep into things, I would love for you all to give a little bit of insight on your experience in the industry. You all have a wealth of knowledge and decades under your belt. So we're going to start with Mignon, then we're going to go into Marcus, and then we're going to go to Derek, where you give it just a little bit about who you are, where people can find you, and then we'll get into today's conversation.
Can you hear me? All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Mignon Espy, and that was a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. A little bit about me. I am working on the brand side of the Hip Hop Museum, which is located in the Bronx. 55,000 square feet of glorious exhibition space that we hope everyone will call home. We are mission focused on preserving what has already been laid down for hip hop and taking hip hop where it will take us next, because we do know that hip hop is forever moving and forward motion, with destination always known, but you never know where it's going to take us. Just a little background on me. I came up in hip hop when there was a time where we couldn't buy our way on Billboard. Concerts were always getting shut down. Artists were always being arrested on stage. Radio wouldn't play the records. My old boss, Kevin Liles, used to say, we came up at a time where radio stations' tagline used to be, "We play all R&B and no hip hop, no rap," right? And now the times have really changed. Brands kept their distance from us. And what forced the culture was to just continue to build. We built, and we built an infrastructure. It's our own distribution, it's our own influence, and now it's our economy. And so I am just really happy to still be here, because I remember a time when my parents told me when I was graduating from Spelman College that rap and hip hop was a fad. And here we are today. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all of your work. Thank you. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. I'm going to give the floor to Marcus.
Thank you. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm in San Diego right now at Comic-Con. There's a bunch of meetings and things of all that, just, building brand awareness with these companies, because these companies want exactly what we have right now. So outside of that, been in the business for about 25 years. I started, as an intern at Def Jam, funny enough. And then from there went to Polygram, which then turned to Universal. And then from there, okay, I'm talking in language.
Same background.
So then from there, switched to Universal. When it switched to Universal, I started working at A&M for a little bit, did Public Announcement, a couple other artists. Went to Interscope for a bit, worked with Maya, Witch Doctor, Dungeon Family, all of that. Then from there, jumped into the independent game, became executive producer for Yolanda Adams show when it was at Radio 1. Started working on the management team for Yolanda Adams, worked a bunch of independent acts, Paul Wall, Chamillionaire, Get Your Mind Correct. Derek, that's down your street because, we in the same city, brother. So, from there, saw this new wave of talent coming, and I grabbed a young man by the name of Tisa Korean, who is really, huge as far as that TikTok and, breaking music and going super viral. So a lot of my guys drop songs that go super viral on TikTok and Instagram and all those things. I'm just a sponge, a component of just doing good work and letting the work speak for itself. So a lot of times you're not going to be able to find me. I'm out the way. Derek, we live in the same city, and I promise you, Derek has never seen me. But we've talked many times.
Right.
Marcus, you live in Houston?
I do. I live in Houston.
I'm from Houston.
Okay, there we go. Already. You know what I'm
The
saying?
Houston connection.
Okay.
I see it.
All day. You know what I'm saying? But shout out, man. Derek McKinney's doing a great job in the city. Even though, I'm out the way, he's in the forefront. He's the man. So, so I'm definitely grateful.
I'm trying to get out the way, though.
Listen, I wanted to get out the way early. So,
yeah.
Well, I love that. That's an incredible segue for you, Derek.
Yes. I know, right? So again, Derek McKinney, I own a record company called Loud Music. Loud is an acronym for Live Out Your Dreams. We, on the management side, we managed the Houston legend Lil Flip and the Dallas artist Fat Pimp, who has a really, really big viral record right now with Roll Me Up. But he's also an artist on the label as well. We juggle both. We have a couple of artists, Tim Ned, Skyra Bliss. Tim Ned is produced for R. Kelly, Nipsey Hussle, CSI New York, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. We do a festival called Loud Fest. The next one is September 26th. We just did a special edition in partnership with the Houston Dynamo. We had 16,000 people there for the World Cup and the Indie Music Festival, all indie artists, multiple genres. Background-wise, from a marketing perspective, I did the marketing for D12's Purple Pills in Texas. I did Ludacris, What's Your Fantasy, T-Pain's I'm Sprung, Chopper Style, Mr. Magic, I Smoke, I Drank. I did the social media marketing and branding for R. Kelly for about 5 years. I did the Black Panties album, all of the social media on that. Did the social media for the PGA Golf Tour for about 5 years. Do the Verizon Wireless business activation. So we'll bring CeeLo Green to SoFi Stadium. And I handle the music aspect on those things. Currently, we're doing the T-Mobile campaign, the Metro by T-Mobile Connected Culture Tour. I created that activation for them as we open up their stores around the country. Let's see, just, other stuff, random stuff here and there. Like Marcus said, I have to be in the way. I'm trying to get out the way, but I think being in Houston, we needed somebody in the way that was in the space that necessarily thought bigger, if that makes sense. That had a broader perspective on the rest of the country, what was going on. Because for a while, we just didn't have it. Everybody here that was in the space thought about just being in this space and didn't give many people eyes and ears outside. So I think I've kind of stepped in the shoes of being those eyes and ears to the rest of the world via music here.
I love that. That's incredible.
It's interesting. It's interesting you would say that, because in the role that I sit in right now, and we've gone around the country, not officially open as a museum, but we've already started to take on some marketing from major brands, and knowing the responsibility and the crown that we have on our head to capture all of hip hop. Often we get accused of making sure of not honoring the other regions that were also having their own and creating their own hip hop history, right? And so being from Houston, I know what I was hearing before I actually went to college, right? And I knew what I was hearing when I would get on the road, which I was on the road a lot in my role as head of sales at Def Jam, marketing, and Polygram, and all these places. I knew the music was out there, right? And maybe the infrastructure was being put together in New York because there were record companies located there.
Yeah.
But now, as I sit in this seat and we're taxed with this responsibility of making sure that we take all this content and tell these stories about how hip hop was formed. Some of the most rich conversations I'm having are with the managers who were not the record company executives, but the managers in these markets that were marketing the records from the ground up, who were validating the artists and their journeys. So, I guess I'm saying all that to say it was happening all over the world, to be honest with you, not just the United States. I get cats hitting me from Russia, from Germany. I love hip hop. This is what was going on. This artist I've never heard of. And I traveled internationally with Def Jam. But this infrastructure is why hip hop is where it is today, in my opinion, because it was building. Just because you didn't hear about it in Houston, there was St. Louis, there wasn't just Atlanta, right? There was Jackson, Mississippi. There was all these places where hip hop was building this infrastructure, and that's why we are where we are today. So hats off to you, Derek. We just, listen.
Amazing.
That's right. It's absolutely amazing. And so we hope to capture this in the museum.
Yes, and we're absolutely going to get into that, because even everything that you all are speaking about speaks to the roots that hip hop is planted in the world, and roots run deep. You know what I mean? When we discuss roots are not a surface level thing. That's not a shallow thing. The roots of hip hop have run so deep that it has created other plants, other versions of how we exist everywhere in the world. And so I can't wait to get into that conversation. So let me give a little bit of background, context, and we're going to go right on into this conversation. So for everyone who's just now joining, the Rap Blueprint is a virtual panel, as you all can see, allowing everyone to explore how hip hop creates this collaborative model. And hip hop is something that was built on community. It was built on trust, and it was a necessary aspect of expression for our community, right? So with hip hop, it went on to kind of reshape how the modern marketing world exists, and how celebrities experience endorsement, and even how brands identify partnerships as we know it today. For much of hip hop's early history, as Mignon spoke to, hip hop was treated as a liability. Artists getting arrested on stage. The famous story of ODB breaking out of jail and coming to perform one last time. Like, there was always a legality and a liability connected to hip hop, as opposed to the opportunity, not realizing what would cultivate into the, to late 90s, early 2000s. Hip hop, as was spoken about earlier, was pushed out of venues, kept off the radio, not allowed on billboards. It made it so hip hop had to find a way to exist as it is in its authenticity. Excuse me. So this conversation will give us an opportunity to kind of trace how that resistance started, how it showed up, what was steps were taken to break it down, and how the culture has built this leverage to become one of the most, if not the most influential forces. You know what? I'm gonna just stand on it. the most influential force in advertising and brand partnerships today. So we're going to have four movements that we discuss about today. The first being the historical resistance hip hop faced before any other brand relationship existed. The second being kind of the turning point that opened that door. For me, when I think of the turning point, just from my own experience, being born in late '80s, raised through the '90s, my dad having his connection to hip hop, my cousins being in the in the game, running with Ice Cube and all that. The turning point for me, I got to see what brand deals look like when I see a Lil Kim with a Prada and stuff like that, or when I see people getting brand deals with clothing lines and on motorcycles. Those are my experiences witnessing in the magazines, how the Source magazine changed. My dad had every Source magazine from the first issue to most recent issues, but even the last issue, and getting to see how brands showed up in Source magazine and then Vibe magazine and then King magazine. I kind of got to see that turning point in my early years. And then how the business model underneath the culture shifted a little bit. And then finally, that fourth movement being where we are today and how things stand, especially if we're talking about the Hip Hop Museum and what y'all are doing to cultivate and maintain the integrity of hip hop through historical expression. So we're going to go over some questions and how we want the conversation. We want it to be natural. We want everyone just to feel very comfortable sharing. I love what you all are doing already, where you're, tapping into your own personal experiences, your memories. That is important to us, keeping this natural and on a level. So y'all ready to get started?
Ready.
Let's get started. So my first question is more so about the resistance. So hip hop's early resistance came from a lot of different directions at once. It wasn't just the police and politicians, but there's some impact and influence from cultural civil rights leaders as well. What would you all say? How did that impact the scattered resistance? And how do you think it affected the cost of the culture at that time?
I would think that what it cost the culture, it forced us to be more creative, but also I think it may have quieted some voices that should have been louder. I think today, and I don't want to jump ahead of the program, but I think a lot of things that we're seeing today in hip hop is the result of not allowing us to go through that natural progression of our art and craft. Rock was able to go through a progression, country, every other genre, but we were the ones that was like, oh no, you can't say this, or you can't go here, you can't do that. And unfortunately, I feel like our community and civic leaders that jumped on that bandwagon, they didn't realize they was doing the work of the oppressor that didn't want us to really be there. Because at the end of the day, they didn't want us influencing their children. They didn't want us influencing their venues, their clubs, their lifestyle. So that's just, I feel like, who knows how much sooner hip hop would have been at the forefront? Who knows how many more great artists we would have had? How many more historical moments we could have had if we wouldn't have to deal with them saying, hey, quiet down, or you can't go here. You can't be in this space. You can't say this and you can't say that. So I think now a lot of that may play a role in why we're in the state of hip hop we're in now.
That's really brilliant, because it sounds like you're speaking to an initiation of policing that we did within our own community, or that our civil rights leaders or our civic leaders basically policing in the beginning, which kind of created a culture of policing in general for the brands a little bit. Is that kind of what I'm hearing you say?
100%, because once our own did it, that gave them even more leeway to do it even more. Once our own church leaders and city officials condemned Black youth and say, hey, don't say this, don't speak out. It was almost kind of like that. And I hate to go here, but I really don't hate to go there. I apologize in advance, but it's kind of like that one Negro to say, shh, master coming. You can't do this. You can't do that. And so a lot of times that's what we had. That's the role they played. So that made master feel even more emboldened to say, no, you can't do this. No, we can't give you this. No, we can't do that. And in hindsight, and having this conversation, that's probably led to the way our deals were structured when it was time to get paid. I think it all plays into that. Like, hey, their community is speaking out against it. So if we don't pay them too much, nobody's going to get mad. If we don't give them a fair deal, nobody's going to get mad because their own people is already speaking out against it. Never mind the fact that NWA was selling out everywhere, and it wasn't us. We couldn't afford CDs. We didn't have vinyl record players in that abundance to sell millions and millions. So they saw what was happening in their households, in their college dorms, in their kids. And I think, you know, they used our civic leaders and our church people and all our good, wholesome folks to quiet us down. Okay.
That is brilliant. That's masterful. Brilliant. Brilliant. Mignon, did you want to contribute?
I need a Kleenex so I can just cry. I mean, listen, I was in the music business for about 5 years, maybe a little bit less than that, before I got to Def Jam. But my real Bible verses started at Def Jam because of exactly what Derek is talking about. Here's what I think about this. Hip hop, we didn't wait for validation. And my bosses, Russell Simmons used to teach us, you don't wait for the door to open, you kick it down. So everything that Derek is saying is everything we experience from a business and sales perspective. As I went along in my sales journey in hip hop, because you want to talk about marketing and bringing this thing full circle, right? And how the money's made, we needed to get in the room where the money was made. We needed to get in the room where the decisions were being made, and we knew we weren't there. And I mean, from the local level to the mid-level to distribution to the records, we were not in the room. And our job was to get in the room. And how do you get in the room? You create value first. And that's what hip hop did. It created value, and it was permeating in every living room, on BET, wherever people could consume videos, wherever people could hear that beat, wherever it was being played from mixtapes, however you could consume it, you couldn't stop it. It built communities, it moved audience, it shaped behavior. Long before brands even knew how to measure any of this, right? And so the oppressors were on the podium and we were in the back room every time we were. People would leave church and be listening to hip hop. And then suddenly one day they just decided to all meld it together and mesh it together. And now it's just seamless. But hip hop, in my opinion, is like the ultimate translator because it meets people, continuously meets people wherever they were and wherever they are and wherever they're going. Look, country music, you just said it, Derek, country music, rock music, they all have hip hop. You can't stop it because it's been listened to in these kids' little rooms and bedrooms. And honestly, how if you know the truth, one of my biggest breaks in the business was calling on a major retailer, showing their name was, and every week meeting with this retailer and getting in this room where I was trying to sell rap records, and I would be in a little cubicle this big, and that person would start a timer, and I was selling all hip hop, and she would smile at me and say, "Thank you for coming."
One moment, your audio is breaking up. In just a moment, I wonder if you mute and then unmute, will it recalibrate? Okay. Oh wait, sounds great. You sound great now. Okay, I have no idea what changed. You sound great now. Continue.
Oh, okay. So she would start the timer when I would be pitching hip hop, and she was not a fan. She was an oppressor. Can you hear me?
We lost you again.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now. It's so interesting. As soon as you get going, it breaks down. That's how you know the word is coming through. That's how you know we're going to church.
That's right. So anyway,
there you go.
She was sick one day, and I had a new salesperson, and I said, "Here are my 3 records. Go home to your kids and ask them, do they know these artists? And if they do, you have to buy them." He went home, he called me, and he placed an order. It was the first time we'd ever gotten into this retailer. And that really literally started that movement. That started the movement. I mean, there were other people, yes, that were supporting us and helping push and taking the order and making sure. But then my job at Def Jam specifically was to add what I needed to add to bring it to life. So I was flying artists to retail, doing autograph signings. Those conference rooms were full. They weren't empty full of oppressors. They were full of fans. So the underbelly was always there because we built the community. And now what we call modern marketing, collaboration, cultural relevance, influence, that was survival from hip hop from the very beginning.
That's masterful. I honestly, the 2 points that I'm hearing you all speak to, there's a connectedness that I keep hearing you all reference. And even in this last point that you're making right now, I noticed that a lot of the younger generation, because they did not get to experience hanging outside of the warehouse waiting for an album to get released, or having to buy tickets from Ticketmaster in person, or buying a CD and ripping off the plastic and fighting through the tape to get to the CD, or even putting a cassette tape into a cassette player. Those kinds of experiences are also their own culture. You can hear someone put in their album a cassette player closing, and that makes you feel a way, but it's only relevant to people who got to experience that. And that cultural connectedness is community. That's something that we do all share. And when that is taken away, or if someone is maybe too high level to experience it, there's a disconnect where they don't understand the relevance or the importance for us culturally. I think that's really masterful, both of the points you all are making. Marcus, did you want to contribute to to this question, where we're kind of discussing about how the groundwork being laid and the connectedness between the civil rights movement and cultural leaders may have had an impact on the initiation of hip hop and marketing?
Well, before I got disconnected, I had a thought, but I lost my thought because something just shook all out of here. You know what I'm saying? So they don't want to hear me speak. Who people didn't want to? The press didn't want to hear me speak. That's what
Precedent want it.
was. You know what I'm saying? The press didn't want it, but it's
Yeah.
good.
But we need it. We need it.
Yeah, but from what I did hear, I think everybody kind of, hit the nail on the head. Being in the business, as long as any of us, including yourself, have, you've seen, well, the good side and the bad side. So the fortunate side and the unfortunate side. So even when, having to go to and deal with retail in a time when, retail was chasing, R&B and pop music, and you're trying to go work a rap record. I remember just trying to go work like Witch Doctor, Dungeon Family, just that, any of that, and you're trying to explain that to like somebody at Media Play or somebody at Record Town to try to you know what I'm saying, like, hey, yeah, I think if you add this record, or you just buy a couple of them. And I think what happened was that in our arena, the reason why we have survived this is because we just found workarounds. And I think that's the most important thing, is dealing with the oppression is how you handle it, right? It's how you handle getting around it. And I know us in the South, I can speak particularly of, when the bigger shops did not want to take us, we went to the mom and pops. We jumped in cars and put tapes in the back of trunks, and and that's where we didn't let anything stop us from getting in there, and we kicked up so much noise on the independent level. I remember going to Southwest Wholesale and trying. Come on now, see y'all. I see faces. I y'all know the struggle. So it's like I remember going to Southwest Wholesale and trying to get them to see the vision and see the product and stuff like that, and going from them not being able to see it to all the way they're giving full on advances to records that wasn't even out yet. You know what I'm saying? Because they caught it at a later time, but it was because the East people pushed it on their side. So we didn't take no for an answer. So I think that's the best way that I'll leave that, because I got disconnected. So I hope I kind of answered that as best I could.
Not a problem. That's perfect. It actually brings me to transition to this next question, because you bring up selling tapes and CDs out of the back of the trunk, which, again, 90s kid, witnessed it, did it for my dad and all my uncles who also wanted to rap. My family's from Compton. So when my dad's childhood friend went on to release F the Police, my dad said, I can do this too. So we were also selling tapes out the back of cars. And I'm going to people, you want to buy my daddy's tape? You want to buy my uncle's tape? Done that before. But that kind of resourcefulness was necessary and maintains necessary. Now, where I'm curious is, given where we are today with the boom of social media and TikTok, which we've spoken about earlier, What would that resourcefulness look like for an artist today? How do artists or anyone in the marketing, they don't have to be an artist, how does anyone market through that same vein of resourcefulness given where we are today with social media and such?
Okay, so we go ahead, D, because I think we probably gonna say the same thing, but go ahead, D.
So I had 2 points, an old point and a new point, because when you said Southwest Wholesale, it sparked a thought of, and this is a Derek McKinney theory. The views expressed here in this conversation is not that of whatever. So when being able to go to Southwest Wholesale and be able to sell CDs and merch and everything out the trunk, that invested so much money back into the Black community.
It did.
It made us millionaires. It made 100,000 heirs. And we would be able to go to Southwest Wholesale and say, hey, I'm working on a new album. Because they own like 10 or 12 of their own record store sound waves. So they knew they was going to put it on there. And they were a one-stop that handled the southern region. And so they give you a $40,000, $50,000 check to press up the album or whatever. And then you could be selling albums out the trunk. You could be selling your mixtapes, and you can go to a show with 1,000 CDs and sell them at $10 a CD, and you could leave with 10 grand. And then you have money to shoot videos. Then you have money to wrap vehicles. Then you have money to feed your family, to pay your bills. You have money to not be in the streets. You had money to not rob. You had money to not sell drugs. And I feel like the industry saw that. Like, how do we have too much control. It gave us so much more leverage when negotiating deals. So let's take away their leverage. Okay, cool. Let's do away with the CDs and that stuff. Let's make everybody start streaming and have to come our way. Now we've taken all the money out of their pockets and they have to depend on us. I think it's all systematic. Streaming and social media has destroyed Black music. It destroyed the finances of it, and it destroyed the quality of it. When a few are able to thrive in it and make money in it, it's phenomenal. And like you said, we'll find a workaround and we'll make do. And what Marcus has done with his artists and in the TikTok space, it's unheard of. Phenomenal. Consistently without, and that is great in that respect. But then also it's a million others that won't get that action.
That's right.
Where it used to be the tables were turned. So we was like, okay, they took too much. We were taking too much out of their mouths. So they had to take it from us. Mm-hmm. Leading to the second question of how do you break through today, we have to go back to that. We have to go back to taking control of our music. We have to go back to taking control of ourselves. I treat streams, like we got a record right now, it's done about maybe 10 million streams in the past 40 days. And number 37 on the TikTok viral charts and all of these cool things that are happening with it. But we're going to sell vinyl. I'm not going to do all of that work to lead them so they can give me pennies, less than pennies on a dollar. I treat streams and I treat social media, those are the new flyers for me. So that's our advertisement to come and buy our CD, our merchandise, our concert ticket, our vinyl. Come to our special meet and greets. Hell, we got a listening party at Shipley's Donuts August 1st.
I love a Shipley.
Yeah, so we're gonna bring DJs, media, everything, and we've assigned donuts. But it's like, again, we're building our own community, and now we know we get 300 people to come there. What if half of them buy the vinyl at $40? You know, so I think we have to get back in the grassroots of it, and then use social media and the web to amplify what we're doing on the grassroots. They did a phenomenal marketing job on telling, man, and it's so shitty. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. With Shipley's, the one on Westheimer, the 24-hour Westheimer Dare Ashford, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. next Saturday. I apologize for cursing. But they did a great job of making our artists feel like they didn't need our executives. They did a great job of making young Black artists not need Black DJs, not need Black publicists, not need Black A&Rs, to be able to pass down that game, and to be able to pass down that insight. So now they're pushing us towards an algorithm that they dictate and control. They set the parameters of what is triggered. I had a white record, a radio station PD tell me, "Hey, Derek, your logo will look good on the chain. Get one of the local dope boys in Houston to get behind y'all and get street cred." I don't sell drugs. I don't smoke. I drink every few months. I'm a husband. I got kids in college. I like to barbecue. I run marathons. Like, why are you telling me to go get with a drug dealer? They want us to use that narrative because that's what goes viral a lot of times for us. That they want us to use that to feed the algorithm.
And to piggyback on that, I didn't want to cut you off, D.
No, you're good. You're good.
I mean, I have to be, I got to make sure I'm careful with how I say this, right? We are very grateful for the TikTok and the Instagram and everybody, grabbing on to my guys and how we, continuously go viral. And a lot of times, people ask like, hey, how do you guys keep going viral? How do you keep getting these brand deals? How do you keep ... The reality of the situation is that we are a byproduct of what everybody else is doing in the streets, the foreground that has been laid. We just choose to follow it. And what I have a knack for is just seeing around the corner and being able to see what I think is getting ready to happen next or go next, right? And I use an example, with when we did Paul Walker Millionaire, Get Your Mind Correct. That was a lot of, marketing and things like that from an independent space. And I remember, being in the studio with Cam and Paul and Hatter, because they were signed to Hatter's label, which is Paid in Full Entertainment at the time. And I remember having to go to, Southwest Wholesale and trying to explain how they needed to get behind this record, right? They didn't really understand getting behind the record, but the one thing that made it work, which is how I'm finna tie all this together, man, Chamillionaire used to have this website called chamillionaire.com. And Cam has always been ahead of the curve as far as like communicating on social media. So before there was Instagram and any of those things, there was always chamillionaire.com. And me and Cam would have these meetings over and over again about how to really communicate effectively to social media, or it wasn't even social, to that bigger audience. You know what I'm saying? Because where you couldn't buy a tape or a CD of Paul Walker Millionaire in a certain space or place, you was able to say, hey, and this was really before iTunes and any of that, right? You know what I'm saying? So it would say, hey, tell us where you are. You can buy it from us here and we'll ship you the CD there, or whatever the case may be. Now, piggybacking on Derek's piece, I 1000% believe that this is why, they kicked in streaming. This is why they kicked those things into overdrive, because it was like, hey, we can't stop them on that level. They have learned to make money around us. I remember if you lived in Houston, and I'm sure everybody, knows this story. If not, if you remember, they sent Pharrell to sign Slim Thug. And when they sent Pharrell to sign Slim Thug, Slim picked Pharrell up. Derek, you could tell him if I'm lying. Slim picked up Pharrell in his Bentley, or it was a Rolls Royce or whatever, paid for it. Pharrell was like, damn. And this is the story. If you live, you know this story. Pharrell was like, damn, how you getting Boss Hog money? You know what I'm saying? So what do you do if I throw $1 million at you and you say, no, I'm good, I don't want it?
Got it already.
I got it already. I have $1 million.
Give me 30 days and I'll make another one.
Yeah. And I'm easy. I don't need you labels. It's a song. There's a song, and this is how Kevin Lyles, Mignon. I hope I'm saying your name right, Mignon, right?
Yes. Yeah.
This is how Kevin Lyles. This is how I met Kevin Lyles. When we dropped the record, on there's a song called Think and Throw on the record on the Paul Walker Comedian That Get Your Mind Correct album. And in that verse, no, it's not Think and Throw. Yeah, it is Think and Throw. Anyway, in the song, he says there's a part that Chameleon used to do where it's like a voicemail. And he would say, beep, it's Def Jam, man. We heard all your tapes. We want to sign you. We can't wait. You, message erased. So he deleted the message, like in the lyrics. Kevin Liles called a week after that tape came out and said, that is how you got me on the phone. Because it was literally like, we don't need your money. And when you go further down in the song, he says, man, if Def Jam wants to sign us, they have to give us an unrecoupable meal, which he still ended up getting from Universal for Riding Dirty, for that whole Sound of Revenge album. So it's like, we've always just been around the corner when it comes to things like this. The only thing that we have to do now is, and really most of us have figured it out, Derek, and I know you have too, I'm not really dependent on, social media. What I'm dependent on is just my guys do what we do, which is we just deliver what we deliver. And if you pick it up, fine. If you don't, fine. But we've done enough to where people automatically kind of gravitate to it, to whereas now you have people that, you got the plants, the industry plants that are trying to come, because it's like, okay, how do we beat them at this level now? So now you got the birth of the AI artists, and you got the birth of, they taking Derek, your artist, Mignon, whoever you've worked with, they put it all in this queue of just, teaching AI to sound like, produce like, whatever. Because now guess what? We can't even beat y'all at streaming. Y'all independently are starting to figure it out over there on that side too.
They're going to move the goalposts every time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 years they move the goalposts. That's why there's always these Instagram updates and these new things they're working on. It's not to make it better. It's to figure out how to stop some of us from making money and gaining an audience where we can advertise to ourselves and not have to go through them. Right. They move the goalpost on us so much.
Yep.
And it's true. It happens with Black creators. Like, I think if I remember correctly, it's like 13 to 26-year-old white girls stream 80% of urban music.
Yes.
And so it's like, yeah, your daughters, your nieces, your cousins in their dorm rooms, in their cheer locker rooms, they're listening to us all day, every day. And they can't stand that influence. They hate that influence. And we see it so much. And so they're like, okay, we got to move the goalpost.
Yeah. Well, you all bring up a very good point specifically about this appropriation of culture, which brings me to a question that I think seems very appropriate. So around the time, like in the 90s, when brands started really pulling in, like, not just our influence, but specifically our visual language and that energy, they were doing it, but not really hiring us. Like when they were, when Sprite took Hype Williams' fish eye lens and then they started using it in their commercials. What would you say was the line between a brand honoring the culture and then straight appropriating it? Where would you say that line is, or how does someone even draw that line? Go ahead.
Because I can speak to that. Oh my God, I can speak to that. So we had the fortunate part is that my guys are I guess engaging enough to get brand deals independently of an agent or anything like that. Brands just typically reach out to us direct. One of the deals that we had was with New Balance, and I'll show you what I mean by that. We did a deal with New Balance, and they were bringing back the 574 shoe, which was the father's shoe. That's the dad shoe that everybody, whatever. So they brought us in. We did the song. Song blows up. Had Lil Yachty, everybody on TikTok dancing 574s, going out buying 574s, right? And initially, right after that, they had a surge in shoes for the 574 shoe, right? There was a bigger talk, a bigger conversation. Now, mind you, that was a decent check. And when I say it was a decent check, that was a six-figure check. That was a six-figure check that they gave us for that, right? So it was a six-figure check, and then everybody that benefited from it, cool, right? There was another conversation where it was going to be a shoe that was going to be created with them in mind as a collab. My guys as a collab. Now, mind you, we're coming off of Mop and all the other things that it kind of made them take over in that era, right? So that deal fell through, but it fell through only because, and this has happened to me twice. The deal fell through only because they were going to do a deal with us. Next thing, 2 weeks later, I see that New Balance does a huge deal with Jack Harlow. Okay, you smelling what I'm selling? Harlow didn't give a damn about New Balance until the 574 stuff started taking off. You know what I'm saying? It was what it was. Same thing happened again we did a situation with Hey Dude. If you're familiar with the Hey Dude shoes that have now taken over. Yeah, we did Hey Dude, and we had a whole Hey Dude thing. We had been running with Hey Dude and everything else. Then next thing you know, you look up, the only other person that was at Hey Dude was a female. I can't think of her name right now, but she's an actress. I can't think of her name, but she's one of those that everybody is, eye candy, whatever. But they were doing the deal with us, and Sydney Sweeney. Yeah, there you go, Sydney Sweeney. So they did the deal with us. She was there before us, so that was cool, right? No problem. So we did the deal with them. We talked to them about SpongeBob SquarePants. Then I see those shoes come out. Then the next thing that we had a conversation about was doing a deal with just some shoes with us, where you could paint the shoe and do whatever, some of the stuff, whatever. Next thing after that deal fell through because they had signed Jelly Roll. So it was like right after we were in the middle of that. They came back. We did Jelly Roll. They did Jelly Roll, then came back to us because the Jelly Roll shoe was good, but they were losing out on Urban because, black people, we love Jelly Roll, but we ain't listening to Jelly Roll like that. So, but when they had us, it was more multicultural of the shoe that was going. They fired the person that was taking it to an urban side. They brought in another person that was taking it back toward country. So if you see Hey Dude now, you don't see a lot of urban influence stuff. You see a lot of country and golf and race car and all of that. It's like, they've literally turned the corner where we lifted it up to nothing because, Crocs had bought Hey Dude. Crocs had bought Hey Dude. And we at that time, Hey Dude was at the bottom. We got it up to the number 2 shoe in the Crocs universe. Then from there, that's when they bring in Jelly Roll, and we going back here. You know what I'm saying? So
yes,
it's happened so many times that we've kind of laugh at it, and then we just kind of go and move on and do whatever we're gonna do. But we've seen it so many times. Like they use us to get to a certain level, and then they drop you off and say, "Okay, well."
It's the UPN effect. The UPN effect.
UPN effects, the living single to friends effect.
The living single to friends. Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's that every single time, man. And I think when they don't have a black person sitting at the table to be that gateway between culture and brand, it always happens that way.
Yeah.
It always happens.
But I came from a school where I can't wait for your table. I got to build my own. And so that's the deal, right? Because if you're going to come and rob my culture, you don't even know the fundamentals and the foundation of the culture to actually rob it. You actually have to go get somebody to tell you what to do, right?
Yep.
When I was making a list of what I thought brands got wrong, because they definitely did back in the day, and it's just gotten worse in my opinion. I think they confuse visibility with credibility. I don't think that they prioritize aesthetics. They prioritize aesthetics over the infrastructure. They want to look without actually supporting the ecosystem. So when you ask the question about what can artists do, have your own ecosystem.
That's right.
Because you're not getting it from the record labels anymore.
At all.
The very people that got kicked off the table are the decision makers that translated the culture and brought the cool to the Empire State Buildings of the world. Those people are all gone now. And I guess AI must be feeling that. They kept a few of us. There's a few of my colleagues that are still in those ivory towers, and that are translating it and gatekeeping it for everybody else. But I think that they underestimate how quickly audiences can detect inauthenticity. The problem is, and this is why I'm very hopeful, when I tell people, when I talk to brands for the museum, I tell people we're moving at the speed of hip hop, I literally mean that. We have penetrated so many different industries. There is no one expert anymore because it's all, as Steve Stout wrote the book, A Browning of America, it's all browning. It's all brown. It's different shades of brown. It's tan, it's dark brown, it's light brown, it's black. And we're everywhere now. And so it's kind of impossible to contain. You can still have fiefdom in your own house. You can decide who gets through. Ultimately, it's about commerce and that dollar.
Yeah.
And you can be a gatekeeper all you want, but you're gonna lose your job because if you're not selling, because you're not being if you're not being authentic, or you're gatekeeping for something that should be shining through, it's gonna come out. You're gonna lose your job. I mean, just in my job, I would say over 50% of the brands that I was talking to in the beginning, just saying, hey, there's a museum, I want to be able to tell you more, it's coming together. Those people aren't even sitting in the seat. The brands are turning over so fast now because these kids, and I don't mean young, I just mean whoever's sitting in the seat, if you are not tapped in and you cannot help that brand move and make money in a fiscal year, you can't even show me where the audience is coming from, they're getting rid of them. Used to have lifers in these jobs. You could call the same guy from Sprite this year, next year. He went on tour with you. He did all the things. I learned that through Chris Lighty. I mean, this is not, this world is not happening like this anymore. I mean, our brand stewards, our ambassadors, those guys are not in those jobs anymore.
And I have a question for you. Oh, go ahead, Marcus.
To her point, you look at it, and Derek, you see this too. Inc. I'm sure you, I know you follow as well. All of the shoulders that we've all stood on to make it in this music industry, from CEOs like Sylvia Rohn and and all these other people, they've either passed away or they just did a mass exodus because labels just let a bunch of big time people go recently. So people that you may have been connected to or known, like they're gone. Like these things are happening at such a speed and pace that if you don't stay in the mix, it doesn't matter what position you're in. If you
don't confuse working from home. You can stay home if you want. That's gonna be a problem.
You got to get in the streets.
You got to get in the streets.
This question is I would love to position it specific to Mignon, but I would love for you all to join in because I missed it. I'm sorry, Derek. My bad. Go ahead. My bad.
Let me talk, please.
Yeah.
Here's the elephant in the room that I don't think, as Black record executives, we're not discussing nowhere near enough right now. A lot of Black executives lost their jobs in the past couple of years at these offices. But you know what? These are the same ones that became an elitist amongst our own community, who wouldn't answer the call, who wouldn't have the meetings, who wouldn't talk to the independent. Now we're all independent and we have a bunch of consultants running around the country. I think the problem is that they got in position and shut the door behind them, and they didn't bring enough allies in the room to help support what they were doing.
No, I agree.
Yeah, friends that were at Def Jam that would say, I'm like, hey man, I got something really special. We just toured London. We just toured Japan. What is the Shazams? I say, bro, Shazams aren't even, you're asking for the wrong thing. Look at what the culture and the community is telling you. And I would tell them maybe 6 or 7 years ago, my guy, BC, Chad Newton with Southern Fried Marketing in Dallas, Texas. He'll tell you, I would say, man, they're putting algorithms over artistry, and Black executives are going to suffer. I started saying this 7-8 years ago. I do an event in Houston called the Loud Radio and Press Junket. I bring out 80 media outlets, Black Enterprise, Pandora, Sirius XM, and we do a radio and press room, Radio One, everybody. And I was telling them, I said, man, listen, as media, as labels, as industry, when it comes to Black music, we can't be held captive to algorithms. They're going to pretty much wipe us out in doing that. So when everybody got fired and lost their jobs, I'll never say I told you so to somebody who lost their livelihood. I'll never in a million years. But also, you should have seen it coming.
Yeah.
There's no way you did not see it coming, or you was just so blinded by your office, because those same guys now are complaining about the state of hip hop. You were in the office that signed it. You were the one taking pictures with bro. You're the one who signed sis. Now you're talking about how damaging it is because they made you sign things based off of algorithms.
But I got to tell you also, what got you here won't get you there. And some of these cats out here that are consulting probably need to just go ahead and retire because they sound
100%.
Yeah. They're not current. They didn't keep up. Now, granted, they locked us out, a lot of us out, but the ones that really didn't stay current cannot even reinvent themselves right now.
And they didn't build genuine relationships amongst the culture. Your relationship only extended as far as your job title in the office you worked in. Now you're no longer in that building. It's like, you can't push.
This brings me to my.
Go ahead,
this brings me to my next question.
This brings me,
and the more you all, I know, but the more you all have expounded, actually has morphed this question, same question, but now it's evolved a little bit. So, from the top of the conversation, we've touched on the influences of white supremacy kind of creating a further marginalization of Black people in our own experiences, right? But we can't speak about any agency of white supremacy or any movements of marginalization if we don't also speak about gendered marginalization. So as we're talking about the culture of hip hop, I heard Sylvia Rhone's name mentioned, but we're thinking about all of the other women that existed in hip hop. Roxanne Shante, we talking Queen Latifah, we talking Yo-Yo, Lady of Rage, we talk about the evolution of Lil' Kim's career, which has led to a Nicki Minaj, which has led to, right? When we're talking about marketing, how would you all express your experiences of how women evolved in hip hop and marketing influence? And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because everything you all mentioned, I keep thinking of Lil' Kim so often. But I'm just curious, based on what we've spoken about the history of hip hop, we've spoken about the influences, we spoke about the 90s and the evolution and executives being pushed out. How have women been affected? And I really want to start with Mignon, and then I want the gentleman to also chime in. I know, you like put me on the spot. I'm sorry. I love you. Look, you and me will never part, okay?
So am I speaking from an artist perspective, right?
You know what I would love from a brand and marketing, and then also from an artist, because I know that can't be the same thing. Because from a brand and marketing executive position, there is a positionality that has to be had, but from an artist, it's a tenacity and almost a resourcefulness that has to be had. So I'm sure that those are different perspectives. I'd love to hear whichever you're most comfortable with.
So where I came from, there was no HR. So I will say the industry was tough on women. And just artists, executives, tough on women. And Sylvia she's a fabulous person, right? But Sylvia was a dinosaur because they didn't allow many of us to get through the eye of the needle. I know far more mid-level to high-level managers that were worker bees and dedicated their entire life to hip-hop with destination unknown, that are bitter and mad and outdated and angry and unable to really move on. A few of them were able to pivot to other industries, which is a beautiful thing. You had to have, no matter who you were or where you were, you had to have a good teacher in the business. that understood what the ecosystem was, that was able to support you as you stepped out of your role to primarily to bring business back into the fold, right? But if you were smart, you were building relationships outside of it. But never did I walk in my job any day thinking that I was going to be treated fairly or equal. Never did I walk into my job thinking that it was going to last forever. And I knew that what was on my business card, I better be able to deliver that in other industries. But I think the mistake a lot of executives made is that they treated what was on their business card as their entire life, and they weren't able to bounce back from that. So I'll say that about the most resilient women in the business, to me, have pivoted to other industries and they've been able to make it. In terms of artists, when I think about Foxy Brown, and I think about all the female artists that were out there that I dealt with, and this is just really across the board. This was like, I worked for Motown, like I worked for a lot of companies where there were a lot of women. And it was just tough out in here in these artist streets, right? Even if you were the head of your own, if you were a single artist or you were the head of a group, your voice was very hard to permeate because there was always a male making the final decision. And so if you look now at the artists, I'm just going to speak hip hop. The artists that are chart toppers, they're bringing it. And you can't argue with them because their lived experience is what is dictating their marketing, their message, their ecosystem. They've learned how to sell the merch and do the show and do the in-store and do the sign of this and open up the hair company. And everywhere they go, they're bringing it. And the personality, the demeanor, the marketing, how clever they're entering the market is all a part of their brand. And it's hard for when you're in the record business. The other part, but nasty part of the record business is the record business has gone from here to here now because of that. So the artists that have real brands are able to do it from here, and now all the pieces of the ecosystem are feeding into the artist versus where it used to be where the record company was here and then all the little pieces were here and you could eat off of it down here. I said this years ago. I was at a Coke down in Soho at a Coke conference, marketers conference, and I said, you guys better watch out because the new star is the artist manager. He's only going to take your shit for excuse my French, take your crap for so long because they were getting tired of fighting because they were under here getting paid. This is the artist, they getting the crumbs. They figured out a way to bring that artist right on up here. So when you think about Meg and, I mean,
Megan Thee Stallion, we talk about,
say what you want to say, like, they're winning because
it's the Dunkin' deal, the perfume, the clothing line, the hair.
One thing about these women, I love the fact that they will walk off. They will walk away. They don't care. They will not be bought. They will not be told. And I am here to say that any artist out there right now that's a woman and you're trying to figure it out, as Oprah says, sign your own checks, make your own decisions, because that's the only way you're going to get it. You cannot have this choir of people pushing you where you're uncomfortable, because it will not work. You will not be authentic. You will not permeate brands. You will not build audiences. You will not own the community. And that's just real now.
Beautiful, masterful. I cannot wait to download this and just clip that up because masterful. Derek, Marcus, any contributions?
So I have a female artist on my label named Skyra Bliss. She's like your Rihanna, Tiana Taylor type artist in lane.
She's amazing too, by the way, D.
Thank you. It's so difficult marketing her to her own Black women because she doesn't sell sex. So
Yes,
let's
okay.
really think about it. Like, if she's not selling sex, she's not vulgar, she's not doing all the ratchetry, and she's not talking and sounding and feeling like a reality show star.
She's a boss. She's a boss.
She does not get accepted by the masses when it comes to Black women in music. That's one of the most disheartening things ever in this process with her, because even whether if it's the DJ, a radio station, a media personality, or a blogger, a podcast, the fight is to make sure Black women's voices are heard, genuinely heard. But then when a Black woman wants to give you that musically, she doesn't get the looks, she doesn't get the shows, she doesn't get the attention, because she's not twerking on stage, she's not fighting on social media, she's not beefing. So
which ironically is the highest part of scrutiny for successful artists. So if anytime a successful Black artist who is a woman at any point mentions sex, it's the first line of scrutiny. But the artists that are Black women that do not sell sex do not get the same. It's like the Kendrick line. Killer Mike will be platinum.
It's rough. It's rough. So we've actually tapped into middle schools, high schools. We have a ton of LGBTQ events, shows. We go out to Katy, Texas. She has 6 shows coming up for the Katy Summer Music Series, all multi-genre bars, predominantly white. And she gets so much more of her craft. Like, they really just want to be a fan, to where I've noticed when she's at events and shows, and it's an urban event, it's a Black event, and it's a predominantly Black woman event, does she have edges? What's her purse? It's all of these prerequisites beforehand. And so she's done a phenomenal job of blocking out the noise, because she just doesn't care about shit anybody do or say anyway. But she's done a phenomenal job of not feeling like she has to switch up, not feeling like she has to conform. She's like unapologetically her. But white, Latin, Asian, Indian, gay, love her to death. But for a Black female artist to be successful as an independent, that groundswell got to come from your own. And it's difficult. It's difficult. And the amount of pushback, there'll be events. I've been told she didn't get invited to certain events because she doesn't drink. She doesn't smoke. I've been told that her presence is too big, so they didn't want her as an opener on the show for independent shows, because here come the loud music backdrop, and here's all of the people in the shirts. Like, because we are moving as a record company, her shows are choreographed. She does rehearsals. She's practiced. She does vocal training. She does media training, because she's just not on stage doing a 20-minute TikTok set. She doesn't get the opportunities. And man, every bump in the road we have encountered moving her in her career, those bumps have been her peers, her counterparts. So that's the part that I think, in order to have that next Queen Latifah, that next Foxy Brown, that next Kim, there need to be more Black women in the offices that are saying, hey, she don't have to get naked. Hey, she doesn't have to do this. Like, we need those examples back again, as opposed to just, they mimic what they see on reality TV. They mimic on what they see on the blogs. Our female rappers look like the influencers. There's no separation. There's no, you can't say who's who and who does what. There was, and I'll say this last thing and I'll be done. There was this video that was circulating on Instagram where this young lady was talking to the dude. She was like, man, y'all don't pick the good girls. Y'all don't know. Y'all always go for the whores. Y'all always go for the stripper looking chicks. And he said, hold on. It's the fact that the good girls dress, act, and look just like the stripper. So we don't know who's who. So when we're picking, we don't know what we're picking. We don't know what we're getting. So if you separate yourself and look different, okay, we know who to pull out the bunch. So amongst our own black women, when one of them separate themselves and look different, don't shun them. Understand, like, you know what? There's a lane for this as well. Just like there was a lane for MC Light, there was a lane for Lil Kim. Just like there was a lane for Foxy, there's a lane for some of everything. And I just think in the music space, from an independent perspective, if a female, a black woman artist, if she's not selling a certain aesthetic, black women don't support it
at all.
Interesting.
And as black men, we can't be critical. That's one of the biggest issues. We can't tell her, "No, you shouldn't wear that." I can with Skyra because we and I have ladies on my team, and she knows my heart. She knows where I'm coming from. But there have been men who've almost lost careers because they didn't like a Meg Thee Stallion song. There have been people who have like bloggers and stuff who don't get interviews, or media don't get stuff because they have, and not bashing or criticize them personally, but even just in the music, if the music isn't good enough, we shouldn't have to just listen or jam or support just because it's a black female artist. If it's not good music, it's not good music. That needs to come back to the forefront, not just because it's a woman of color. We should automatically get behind it, support it, and run with it. No, it's not all good. But if there are men in the room and that's said, we catch hell for it. But we can't even get into it.
Marcus?
Well, I mean, they said everything that needed to be said. I think the only thing that I was really going to, piggyback on, or really not piggyback, but period, new sentence to Derek's comment is the good news is that, and I was just talking to Yolanda about this yesterday because her daughter is doing R&B music, and her single is out right now. We're getting ready to put out the album. Got her signed. She's over at Empire, but she's doing actual R&B, real music. And the thing that that I was talking to Yolanda about is that if you look around, this generation of kids, they don't want, and forgive me, they don't want that Cardi B bullshit. Not saying there's anything wrong with Cardi or Megan or anything, but you go out on social media right now and you will find these kids, they want a line dance, they want Cameo, they want Motown, they want real music. Yep. They don't want the Megans, and not say that they didn't like Megan or anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
Megan didn't get there by herself though.
Right. You see, you feel me? Like they want real music. So even when you see these people that are, because there's a resurgence of new music and real artists that's coming out. Like I've been saying, and I'm sure I haven't been the only one saying this, but like this state of music that it is right now, you may have another year and a half of people that can kind of pop out. You're going to have to be able to play. You're going to have to be able to write. People are looking for real. We're back in the season of people looking for real artists, real talent, real music, real, like A&Rs are going to have to step back up. You know what I'm saying? So this wave of, and shout out to Cardi B, shout out to Megan. You know what I'm saying? I mean, T. Ferris did a great job, with Megan, and he was smart enough to get her over and let Roc Nation step in and do all those big Popeyes deals and collaborations and things like that, while he just sits back and gets that check, because Megan ain't let go of him. Like Megan just got him in a position. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you do it. You take care of home and move on to whatever the thing is. But, again, we're getting to a state where you're going to have to be able to really bring it. And to everybody's point that's on here, Mignon from earlier, we saying the gatekeepers that aren't around now. I got people that are old gatekeepers now that are now reaching out to me when I tried to reach out to them years ago. And now they calling me, "Hey, bro, what's going on with Mighty Bay, man? I'm trying to sign Mighty Bay. Because they not there. So now they got their own independent label, and now they're trying to go, take something and run with something." You know what I'm saying? Or even with these females right now that are doing, like I said, Skyra's in a perfect position right now because they're sick of the girls that were there, and they got the ass and they got the the purse and the this that, and they can't afford to keep up with that. You know what I'm saying? So what girls want, and me raising a 12-year-old girl, like, man, she wants real music. If I get in the car right now, she could not tell you one, and this is real talk. She cannot tell you one Megan Thee Stallion lyric, but she can sing the whole song of Marvin Gaye After the Dance to you right now. She can sing Earth, Wind, and Fire September word for word right now. And she does not want to listen to, not to say she has a problem with Megan Thee Stallion or anybody. She wants real music. That's what they want. These kids, go on Instagram and you'll see it. It's a whole thing right now. Go on Instagram right now.
My daughter's a junior at Prairie View. My daughter's going to a junior year at Prairie View.
Talk about it.
Our house is the chill house for her and her best friends that they've been together since 6th grade. And they was downstairs one day listening to music. I don't think I heard nothing past 1995. All R&B. And I say, so what's new at Prairie View? We just listen. We line dance and 90s R&B.
That's it.
All they want.
And I can. All right, hold on. And that's why, Mignon, I got to give it to you, because you was on the front line at that time, and you was pushing them, and you was out here putting your neck out on the line in retail. So now these generations are benefiting from what you did back then when you had to go to retail and try to pitch these R&B artists that this generation is now grabbing on to, because they didn't. The generation before them, they wanted the 50 Cent and no problem. There's no problem. I mean, we got to go whichever way the wave go. But you guys were on it then, just with real music. And if you were inside
timeless music,
man. And if you were inside the industry like you and me, we wanted it. But how do you pitch it in a world that everybody just wants all this hood shit? So it's like, how do I survive?
Honestly, I think honestly, all of your contributions to the industry have been just impeccable and incredible. My background is in sociology, and the last three things that you all have mentioned, my brain starts going the sociological approach, where you all are asking the question of why are people reverting to music from the 90s or pre-2000 music? Why are the newer generations listening to older music? What are those reasons? And my sociological brain keeps going, oh, there was a sociological change. Something happened with the change in human behavior. And the last 5 years have made it so pre-2020, everyone is trying to keep up with the Joneses, as financially detrimental as it could have been. But then when you lock a people inside and they are faced with their own realities, no matter their age group, people really want to feel things again. And there was a brief amount of time where everyone thought that was going to be AI boom. And I work in sync licensing, and I have to tell artists all the time, do not send me AI music. Don't send it, because if I need something modified, I need a synth sound, I need a guitar strum, you're not going to be able to do it, because AI cannot create. Don't send me no AI music. But they thought for a brief amount of time it was going to be AI. People have been so devastated by the last 5-6 years or so that they are looking for real guitar strums. They want to hear a voice crack on a song. They need to hear and they want to feel and be seen. And if they cannot keep up fiscally or financially with artists, the ability to relate to what you see on Instagram isn't happening anymore. They do want a Skyra. They do want someone that they can feel again. And since that doesn't exist as consistently, they are reverting to when things felt real, which is 90s, at the time where you had limited resources and more community-based music and writers in a room writing a song and adding this sound here, and you put Devontae, get on the keys. You know, you had that feeling. You could feel it, and it got lost for a long time. And sociologically, I believe that is the contribution to why a lot of younger people are reverting to older music.
That music was the music of the revolution at the time, guys. I mean, we're just going full circle now. This is not anything new. Look, there was a time that they got shut out and hip hop was the thing, right? It's all very cyclical. It's just that real music permeates, right? But there's nothing like you. I mean, you remember being in New York when all the studios, you could go from studio to studio and they would be booked solid. I mean, I'll never forget one of my most amazing, mind-blowing experiences being in a studio with Lionel Richie with a full orchestra. My God, you will never experience anything like that. Being in a studio with Lenny Kravitz, my God, like this is real music. And if you gotta hit a bunch of buttons to get to the music, and now the sound quality is not now what it's gonna all fall apart. It's gonna all fall apart. But that's just the sign of the times. Not to say that the music back then wasn't great. That's what we were moving to back then. But now we weren't, like I said, where you were is not getting you here. And you got to move. And to Derek, to your artist, I would just say, look at what Tiana's doing. She's, you know what? Sometimes the moment was here and then she's moving to this moment. She's acting. She's building credibility in spaces where she's being accepted. And now it's putting downward pressure on the music side of things, because there's nobody from the music this side that's saying she's not legit. She's on every red carpet. She's at Cannes. She's doing all the things. Got businesses. Who's to say she's not legit? She may not be charting today, but she might come back and do that. And I think that's where artists have to be now. You have to feed into the ecosystem, which goes back to your authenticity. I don't think you can come out in these streets now and just be popping and locking and thinking that you're going to just have this big career. I don't think this is the time. Not that that's not important, but right now, I think you got to bring multi-layers to the table to be taken seriously by people. I think the days of that whole influencer, social media, real whatevers of whatever, I think that those stars are for a place and a time. And even those stars, those TV stars are now building their own businesses. They see how detrimental it has been to create a brand.
So I have a
lovely
internship program called Loud University, and we have like 25 interns across the country: Howard, Morehouse, NYU, Berkeley, Texas Southern University, Prairie View A&M, a bunch of schools. And I think my oldest intern just turned 21, and they all literally said the exact same thing on individual interviews when I asked them about the state of music today and what they want to hear. And the number one thing that each and every one of them said, they want to feel good in music. They want feel good music. And I was at I'm a vinyl collector, and I was at a store in the mall a couple of weeks ago, and the store was packed. And I'm like, and the only thing they sell are vinyl and CDs. I was the oldest person in the store. And I asked the store owner, I was like, is it always this young? He said, man, it's nothing but high school and college students that come in here. And they buy, he said, I can't keep vinyl. And I had to call him, ask him to hold a Marvin Gaye album for me that he posted on Instagram. And he was like, this is the last copy, but I held it because you sent the deposit. And so it lets me know that the kids, one of my interns, super great young lady named Ashley she's at Clark. And she said that it's a bunch of adults in the music industry who said kids want 15 seconds of music. Kids want viral content. She said, but nobody ever asked us. There's no poll, there's no studies, there's nothing. And she said, if you give us a phone and that's the only content you give us, it's going to look like that's what we want. And she said, but nobody ever asked us. She said, they're not on college campuses doing surveys asking, what do you want to listen to? What do you want to hear? None of that. And I told her a story where I was in a label meeting and I was just kind of being a fly on the wall. And I was like, when somebody got signed off of, let's say, O Block, and it was all the drill music, every A&R label in the country was trying to go to O Block to find something. But when you hear J. Cole and you hear people just coming out of colleges, there are no A&Rs hanging out on college campuses. They're not in the dorm rooms. They're not doing that. So it's like nobody's asking the youth, what do you want? And I've had our internship program maybe about 7-8 years now, but it's literally, they're asking feel good music, real R&B, real singers, real music. They want merchandise. They want T-shirts. They want vinyl. They want CDs. They want posters. And they was like, man, we want tangible stuff. We got phones. I was like, wow, it's mind blowing that everything over the past few years that they say is for the youth don't want. They want what we had, which I love. It makes me happy as a dad.
Yeah.
So, but no, y'all are right.
Incredible.
Good music. They want timeless music. They want merchandise, like say
And ownership.
Yeah, my daughter.
Yeah.
Dad, can I play you Anita Baker vinyl? Why, yes, you can.
Of course.
Please play Anita Baker.
I'll play Anita.
Look, I need to hear that snap crackle. Well, that's amazing. I have a closeout question for everyone. I want to make sure I honor everyone's time. We have 5 minutes, and in this closeout question, whoever wants to answer first, and we'll wrap up at 12:30. What advice would you give to a brand and an artist today on how to build an authentic partnership?
Ladies first.
Okay. So I would say my advice is proximity. Are you actually in a relationship with the culture, or are you observing it from a distance? Are you paying attention to like the cultural voices that are actually shaping the culture? And do you know how you would actually execute it? Because it's different to just say you're into it and you think it would be cool, but just because you put it adjacent to your brand doesn't mean it's going to actually work, right? I would say think really hard about equity and ownership, and don't just sound like a broken record about what you think you own just because you're paying for it. Pay attention to what the collaboration will do. I also think, and this goes for both sides, the longevity. Is it a moment you're creating, or is it a movement you're creating? And what is your sustained commitment to like what you're creating, right? Because I know that all these brands think in financial cycles, but I think that this new generation is learning how to extend that. It's partly based upon economics. I saw a report the other day about how thrift shops are doing so well right now, right? And that's a whole new ecosystem. But when you think about it, big boxes are listening, because now you go to Zara, they got a whole pre-ownership program going on. And what that says to me is that things are not going away, and it used to be disposable fashion, disposable this, and that things aren't so disposable anymore. And so what does that really mean to your brand? And then I would think about, lastly, the reinvestment, right? How does your success flow back into the community, and you recreate that value so that you can go back again and go back again? And I mean, these aren't questions. These aren't, this is not advice that I just created. This has been going on since I got into this business, right? I still don't think people are really listening. I still think there's only a handful of brands that are really winning out here. I still see a lot of bad mistakes, a lot of misfires. And one thing you guys brought to light about the data, the manipulation of the data. And how maybe the trend is not really the trend, but that's because that's what they say it is. And so that's what it must be. There's a lot of manipulation going on out here right now. So my last and final word to everybody, whether you're a creator, an artist, manager, just watching from the sidelines, I think that ecosystem is so serious, because there's a lot of people getting paid right now. They may not be on camera. They may not be on Netflix. They may not be sitting on an interview stage, but they have tapped into what that 360, I hate to say that because that's an old term, but they have tapped into what that ecosystem looks like and figured out how to make it. And may not be like, have gotten a record deal. I know artists that aren't signed and are still doing their thing. So I would just say to these brands, like, are you willing to go the distance? because if not, you might enjoy a few cycles here and there, but you're always going to be looking for the rabbit in the hat.
Beautiful, masterful. Marcus, Derek, before we wrap up, any final words?
The advice that we would give somebody who's just now launching their brand or artist career or something like that?
Yeah, and building an authentic partnership. Mm-hmm.
I think the key word in that is authentic. Be 100% you, and you'll attract the people that want what you have to offer. If you're trying to be like anybody else out there right now, you're already losing. We already have them. You're already starting in a deficit. I think we're in a wild west to where there are no rules, there are no blueprint, and no one person has any of the right answer. Try it all. Be you. It's okay for you to just be who you are. Whatever the music you make, whatever the product you're selling, however you dress, however you look, however you feel, whatever you want to do it. But whatever you decide to do, learn the business model behind it. I think creatives get lost in the fact of I'm a creative, and that doesn't mean you can't be a businessman or woman. Also, you need to be, especially today, if you are a creative, really, really, really learn the business that you're in. But man, the best advice I can give people today would be just be yourself. Work your ass off. Nothing beats hard work. Work. If your life is not on the line, then you're not working hard enough, in my opinion. That's just how I feel. But there are no more blueprints. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And so you can really chart your own path. You really can create your own way. You can create your own lane right now in this moment, and it can happen overnight. You just got to be yourself in doing it.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Derek. Thank you. Marcus, anything you want to add before we wrap up?
Man, no, I mean, really, they kind of covered everything. If you want some, just deep and didactic, I mean, I can give you a sermonic dissertation. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's it's like, look, I mean, it's Steve Harvey said it best. The dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. It's like you can't get anywhere without the grind. From Derek's point, and everybody in here, everybody has worked hard to get to where they are. The meetings that we've taken and the bruises that we have, gotten. You know what I mean? It's like you either gonna make history or be history. So you gotta make the decision on what you want to do. You know what I mean? That's everybody here has decided to do something with themselves to leave a mark of their contribution to music. You know what I mean? What is going to be your contribution? What are you going to do? Because your job is to outdo what we've already done. And that's going to be hard. You know what I'm saying? Because, I know I'm a cold motherfucker. I mean, excuse my French.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's gonna be hard for you to keep up with me. It is what it is. But I'm telling you, keep up. Good luck. I'm supposed.
Yeah.
I want you to. I want you to come.
I want you to. You know what I'm saying? That's the goal. I need to be able to look at you and be like, man, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why, even in Houston right now, just the scene is like, I remember everybody used to be such a fight, but now you just starting to see everybody starting to just work together. You get of like my artist working with your artist, and then me and Derek, we ain't talk, but okay, no, you over there with Loud, all right, cool, no problem. Yeah, y'all go, y'all work that out, we'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's how it's supposed to be, because the new wave is here, and it's us versus them. It's not, it's all of us versus them.
Yeah,
we starting to figure that out.
Man, and when
we know that's how they playing. Shit.
Masterful.
Listen, when we figure that out, that's the key. That's it's there. We win. So that's it.
Beautiful.
As my old boss from BET used to say to me, Ray Goldberg, everybody can have a house on the same street.
Listen. Listen,
He said that every
That's a
week,
bar.
and the most creative gets the biggest house now.
right?
But everybody can live on the same street,
And that is important.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
You all have been amazing. Masterclass on marketing, branding, history of hip hop, its impact on the culture. You all have been wonderful. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. Look, me too. Wait, look. I don't know if y'all saw. I had to post it, okay? I was taking notes the whole time. Make sure y'all visit Shipley's Donuts August 1st. Look, there's a meet and greet at Shipley's Donuts, the one on Westheimer, okay, the 24-hour one. All right.
THM.org, the Hip Hop Museum in the Bronx. Will
Hip Hop Museum,
please.
Yes. Marcus is at Comic-Con right now. Make sure y'all following on TikTok. Loud Fest, September 26th. Let's see, Connected Culture Tour. All right. I'm just taking notes on what everybody got going on. So make sure y'all follow everyone you see on the screen. My name is Ink. You can follow me on all social media platforms, Ink Very Well, because I don't just ink well, I ink very well. So make sure y'all follow me. And I'm so glad to the AAMA. You all are amazing. I'm following you all already. Y'all are amazing. Thank you for tuning in. Shout out to the AAMA for today's conversation. And we will see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So our closing notes. First of all, that was a beautiful conversation. I love the hosts and the panelists. Y'all gave us a beautiful insight and historical insight as well, to kind of bring those modern partnerships together. So I also took some notes too. I had to. But one little thing I do want to close out. We are powered by our members. Okay. So we couldn't even do these events without your dollars and your actual sponsorship of our events. So we want to continue that membership. And we actually did our tiers a little different this year. So for our professional members, it is $179 this year. I feel like I'm selling to y'all, but as we know, our nonprofits are $350 this year. And of course, for our builders and agencies, is $500 this year. But amongst the membership tiers, you can find those on the website. I want to see you in August as well. Okay, so we had, I want to say it was August 1st at Shipley's in Katy. So definitely going to be there. No, it was on, don't get me on the road. I'll go back and we're gonna repost it. But on the 27th in Houston, I want to say in East Downtown, as many know it, we're going to be hosting Marketing for the Culture Summit. So Marketing for the Culture Summit is coming, and we're going to be doing a lot of data. Jay-Z said the numbers don't lie, but as we've heard in this panel, first of all, be yourself. Relationships matter. And of course, with streaming and other partnerships, as we go as marketers, we do have to look at the numbers. But we know that these partnerships do matter and the community matters more. So if we can see you on the 27th, I'll be much appreciative of that. But in closing, guys, this has been a beautiful chat. You can follow us on all of our social medias at AAMA Houston, and I will catch y'all in the next one.